Coming up on InfoSecSync, one of the nation's top law enforcement agencies becomes a target of hackers. Who could be behind the FBI email scam?
More on billions of dollars earmarked to beef up the nation's cybersecurity efforts.
And TV watchers beware, more on the threat headed to your inbox. We've got those stories and more, so get ready to get in sync with InfoSecSync.
You're watching the InfoSecSync Weekly News with Nick Thomas and news anchor Leyla Gulen, sponsored by Axellio. Threat detection and response done right. Axellio.
Also sponsored by Sirius Federal. Through high-level partnerships with the world's leading technology companies, Sirius Federal provides transformational technology solutions and services for the U.S. federal government. What's your mission?
Welcome to the InfoSecSync Weekly News for week ending November 19th, 2021. I'm Leyla Gulen with your host, Nick Thomas. Nick, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Leyla. How are you?
Doing great. How was your Veterans Day?
Oh, Veterans Day was great. Had a great time getting with my buddies and honoring those before us and those who's currently working with us in the trenches, I should say, the cybersecurity trenches as well.
Absolutely, and thank you for your service. Well, speaking of trenches, vulnerability in a law enforcement portal led to thousands of fake emails being sent out by the FBI. The hoax emails came from an FBI email address with a subject line that read, "Urgent Threat Actor in Systems." The message appeared to come from the DHS. The individual behind the attack is said to be connected to the group Dark Overlord. More than 100,000 fake emails were sent out in 2 waves. The FBI says the emails were sent out by someone who leveraged a software misconfiguration affecting the law enforcement enterprise portal. The FBI confirms the server is not part of the Bureau's corporate email service and that no classified systems or personally identifiable information was compromised. Now, Nick, it's hard to believe that the FBI could be a target for something like this. How do you think it got past security measures that are currently in place?
Well, Leyla, actually, a lot of the government agencies, including the FBI, are targets every day from hackers, script kiddies, everything that's hitting the internet. So this was very low-hanging fruit. This wasn't a major disruption. It was just a vulnerability that they found, and they were able to keep their systems secure and report this incident. So that's basically what happened.
Oh, I see. All right. Well, I guess it's quite the coup if they can get in there somehow. Well, we've got more to come. Who could be behind the ransomware attack on the nation's second largest media giant? Details after the break.
Are you concerned the next news headline on a security breach includes your company name? In a recent IBM cyber report, 51% of all interviewed organizations reported a significant business disruption during the past 2 years due to a cybersecurity incident, while organizations using 50-plus security tools rank themselves lower in their ability to detect and respond to an attack, with the average security operation team using 70 tools. If more tools and data are not the answer, what can you do? Axellio works with you to optimize a threat detection and response solution to fit your environment to prevent tool and data overload. We leverage and optimize your existing infrastructure, enhanced with the Axellio platform as necessary, utilizing open source solutions where applicable. And we work closely with you to deploy, configure, document, and educate your team. Axellio, let's create the right security solution for your environment.
Researchers are narrowing in on who is behind the massive ransomware attack affecting the second largest broadcast company in the country. SINCLAIR Broadcast Group is still reeling from the attack that has disrupted programming at stations across the country. Researchers have found a malicious code previously used by Russian crime group Evil Corp. The code also overlaps with previous hacking tools attributed to the Russian group. Evil Corp is believed to be primarily motivated by money, but sanctions against the group's members prohibit organizations that are victimized by Evil Corp from paying the group a ransom to unlock their data. The group is accused of stealing $100 million from victims around the world by accessing their bank account login information. Sinclair says it's making progress in returning to regular business operations. Leyla?
Security researchers have become the target of a North Korea-affiliated state-sponsored group. Lazarus is accused of using backdoors and remote access Trojans via a Trojanized pirated version of the popular IDA Pro reverse engineering software. IDA Pro is an interactive disassembler that's designed to translate machine language and enable security researchers to analyze the inner workings of a program, as well as function as a debugger to detect errors. The tampered version is then orchestrated to retrieve subsequent payloads. The covert operation involved the adversaries setting up a fake security company known as SecureLight alongside a number of social media accounts in an attempt to trick unsuspecting researchers into visiting the company's malware-laced website. Nick?
At least 6 threat actors affiliated with Iran have been discovered deploying ransomware to achieve strategic objectives. The Microsoft Threat Intelligence Center says nation-state operators are increasingly turning to ransomware as a means of generating revenue and intentionally sabotaging their targets. One particular threat actor has been found scanning IP addresses on the internet for unpatched Fortinet FortiOS SSL VPN and on-premises Exchange servers to gain initial access. Another tactic is through fictitious social media accounts, including posing as attractive women to build trust with targets over several months and ultimately delivering malware-laced documents. These documents allow for data exfiltration from the victim's systems. A third trend is the use of password spray attacks to target Office 365 tenants, targeting U.S., EU, and Israeli defense technology companies. These latest findings are a signal of an ongoing wave of intrusions carried out by Iranian government-sponsored hacking groups by exploiting Microsoft Exchange proxy shell and Fortinet vulnerabilities. Leyla?
Well, cybersecurity agencies from Australia, the UK, and the US say the threat actor is believed to have leveraged multiple Fortinet FortiOS vulnerabilities dating back to March 2021, as well as remote code execution flaws affecting Microsoft Exchange servers since at least October 2021. Well, as mitigations, the agencies are recommending organizations to immediately patch software affected by the vulnerabilities, enforce data backup, and secure accounts with multi-factor authentication. Nick?
The Belarusian government is at least partially responsible for the Ghostwriter disinformation campaign. The campaign was initially detailed in July 2020 and targeted audiences in Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland with NATO-related themes. Researchers are drawing a connection between the threat actor behind Ghostwriter, which has been tracked as UNC 1151, and the Belarusian government, saying that Belarus is at least partially responsible for the campaign. UNC 1151 has been active since 2016 and has attempted to exfiltrate confidential information from its victims, but without any monetization effort. Leyla?
So how dangerous are these Ghostwriter cases?
Well, first off, just the term ghostwriter, it's based on behavioral characteristics and personas rather than an actor or group, because they haven't been able to figure that out yet. So it is dangerous. We don't know who's doing it until we actually get the tactics, the TTPs, the tactics, techniques, and personas together to do that, and procedures.
Oh, very interesting. Well, it's time for a break. When we return, it's evolution, not a revolution. Where cybercrime is headed in the future, we'll be right back.
Many organizations are protecting their environment through perimeter defense using a combination of firewalls, IDSs, IPSs, and endpoint protection. Even though cost-effective, recent events have shown that perimeter defense, even though necessary, is not sufficient when it comes to threat detection and response. And once a threat actor penetrates these defenses, what tools do you have to detect their every move or to stop their preparations for ransomware attacks or data exfiltration? At Excelio, we believe that comprehensive network visibility across your network, inside and out, is essential to identify and respond to today's threat actors. Packet Express provides the network visibility and contextual data to detect, prioritize, and mitigate threats, no matter where they hide. Excelio, threat detection and response solutions with Packet Express, the network visibility hub.
Welcome back. Top cybercrime threats facing organizations in Europe and beyond include ransomware affiliate programs, more sophisticated mobile malware, and many different types of online fraud. Europol released its latest Internet Organized Crime Threat Assessment and have concluded that cybercrime is an evolution, not a revolution, citing rapid growth in the ransomware as a service ecosystem. Another accelerating trend has been the growth in child sexual exploitation, with a steep increase in online grooming activities on social media and online gaming platforms. Another long-present threat that has been growing more sophisticated and damaging is mobile malware, and especially banking Trojans that run on Android devices and are designed to steal users' credentials. For nation-state attackers, as well as criminals seeking illicit profits, supply chains remain a top target for criminals. Hence why the government is beefing up its defenses across the board as a profession in this field, Nick. Are schools doing enough to keep up with postgraduate demand in this space, and what can be done to try to get ahead of the curve?
Leyla, I think schools are going above and beyond actually to meet the demand. The problem is we don't have enough people to secure and be in these positions. There's a lot of positions going open, and they're very hard to fill. And we are trying to get around the curve, or in front of the curve, I must say, especially with the administration's cybersecurity initiatives that were signed recently into action. So we are trying to get ahead of that curve, Leyla. Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, regarding NSA, cybersecurity leaders are urging a cross-sector collaboration to combat the modern conflict landscape and advanced technology. The commander of U.S. Cyber Command and the director of the National Security Agency outlined areas of investment his team is pursuing in the face of new strategic challenges. These include talent, technology, and partnerships. He also shed light on a new partnership NSA is embarking on with the National Cryptologic Foundation to advance future-facing research and build pipelines for cybersecurity jobs, just like I was just talking about, Leyla. The NSA and Cyber Command are actively forming new partnerships with outside entities, and this includes more than 100 defense industrial-based companies and their cybersecurity providers. About 24 lawmakers questioned a trio of high-ranking administration officials about how the federal government is fighting back against ransomware. The committee addressed what tools they are providing to both business and state and local agencies, and whether the government is doing enough to coordinate its responses. The committee also released a staff memorandum outlining 3 ransomware attacks that earned national headlines, noting their similarities and downstream effects. Lawmakers are concerned about the effects of ransomware attacks on medical systems, state and local government agencies, and schools. Another topic of persistent questioning was how companies could possibly know who to contact in the event of an attack. And now in CISA news, members of the hacking community are being looked at by CISA to assist on a federal advisory committee at the Department of Homeland Security. Agency Director Jen Easterly reached out to the community at the annual Black Hat Hacker Conference in DEF CON shortly after starting in her role. Easterly said she's reshaping the agency's strategy to leverage the talent of hackers who discover vulnerabilities in critical infrastructure and are willing to give the government dibs on patching them. Easterly credited the hacking community for honing the agency's focus on vulnerability remediation and supply chain transparency, a signal for what the government is expecting from the industry. Leyla?
And as we just heard, cybersecurity talent is in demand. The Secretary of Homeland Security says a new hiring system will enable the department to better compete for cybersecurity professionals and remain agile enough to meet the demands of our critical cybersecurity mission. Alejandro Mayorkas has set an aggressive goal to hire 200 cyber personnel in 60 days. However, a major federal workers union is among those expressing concern about a lack of appropriate oversight. Officials are optimistic that new simulations that they've built with psychologists to test for relevant competencies will ultimately provide a better quality as well as quantity and range of cybersecurity workers. Nick.
The recently passed $1 trillion Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act will soon boost government cybersecurity spending by nearly $2 billion. Among its provisions is a new billion-dollar grant program. This will help state, local, tribal, and territorial governments protect themselves from malicious actors and modernize systems to protect sensitive data, information, and public critical infrastructure. The bill also incorporates the Cyber Response and Recovery Act of 2021, which authorizes $100 million over 5 years to help the government quickly respond to cybersecurity intrusions. The Build Back Better bill also includes money for cloud security, industrial control system security, and migration to the .gov domain by state, local, and tribal governments. Leyla?
2 cybersecurity playbooks focusing on incident response and vulnerability response have been released by the White House. The executive order on improving the nation's cybersecurity tasks CISA with developing playbooks for federal civilian agencies to help them plan and conduct vulnerability and incident response. The new playbooks are designed to provide agencies with a standard set of procedures for identifying, coordinating, remediating, recovering, and tracking mitigations. Steps that agencies need to take in case of a confirmed malicious cyber activity include a preparation phase, a detection and analysis phase, and a containment phase. Post-incident activities include documenting the incident, informing leadership, taking measures to prevent future incidents, and improving future incident response activities.
An office dedicated to zero trust will be launched by the U.S. Department of Defense next month. It's an effort to streamline the adoption of zero trust cybersecurity architectures and part of the Biden administration's wider cybersecurity executive order. This announcement comes as federal agencies move to modernize their systems following the months-long SolarWinds cyber espionage campaign that was first detected in late 2020. The attack was allegedly backed by the Russian government and breached some 100 organizations globally, including the Treasury, Commerce, State, Energy, and Homeland Security departments. Biden's executive order mandates that the agencies update plans to prioritize the adoption of zero trust and the use of cloud technology, as well as develop a plan to implement the architecture. When we come back, Skimmer at checkout stand number 2, how Costco became the target for pin pad scammers. We'll explain after the break.
Are your security event notifications impossible to prioritize and act upon? Axelio's Packet Express platform provides total packet visibility that works with your existing analysis applications to enable a comprehensive threat response. Capture any traffic reliably at 100 gigabits per second. Distribute directly from disk to any security application at over 100 gigabits per second to keep up with traffic spikes and growth. Pivot directly from an event into the relevant packets for insightful pre- and post-event analysis. Packet Express for informed decisions and rapid incident response. Axelio. Detect, disrupt, defend.
Welcome back. About $55 million in digital currency has been stolen following a hack. An experimental investment fund called Decentralized Autonomous Organization shut down operations after the attack in June and are now planning for its unwinding. Founders of the multi-million-dollar fund say attackers stole about 3.6 million Ether coins and moved it to another account. The attackers appear to have exploited a loophole that essentially allowed a company stakeholder to create an identical fund and move money into it. Researchers say the Ethereum platform itself seems to be flawed, with issues in its design of the Solidity language. The various forms of digital currency are specifically designed to be run in a decentralized manner, with anonymity as a core tenet, a lucrative target for criminals since they can bypass the security controls of the organization holding the currency and transfer it anonymously. Nick?
Ransomware attacks on the banking industry have increased by more than 1,300%. The past 2 years have proved challenging due to pandemic-related branch closures and lockdowns, as well as remote banking becoming the norm. This has increased the target size for bad actors in which banks are failing to keep up. Samsung Electronics says financial institutions need to take cybersecurity risks extremely seriously due to the sensitive nature of the data and personal information they have access to. A recent report revealed that disengagement from employees is the weak link in banks' cybersecurity defenses, and that companies need to step up their cybersecurity current programs and consider regular penetration tests to identify weaknesses and help employees stay alert. Technology and governance and oversight are two other components requiring a retooling to ensure the latest in security standards.
Healthcare organizations have once again become the target of two recent hacking incidents. One of those incidents involved ransomware, and the other involves the exfiltration of sensitive data for hundreds of thousands of individuals. The data exfiltration incident was the larger of the two and victimized the North Oklahoma County Mental Health Center, which offers a variety of services for children, adults, and families recovering from mental illness, substance abuse, trauma, and other crises. Affected information includes names, addresses, social security numbers, and dates of birth. The provider notes that it was able to recover from its ransomware attack using backups and did not pay a ransom to the attackers. Nick.
Federal authorities are alerting two manufacturers of medical device products. Siemens and Philips have been warned of security vulnerabilities affecting anesthesia machines and patient monitors, as well as some industrial systems used in other industries. Successful exploitation of these vulnerabilities could cause a denial of service condition, allow an information leakage, or remote code execution. This can potentially introduce a number of serious risks to patients that could seriously compromise both their care and their privacy. Siemens in its advisory says it had released updates for several of the affected products and recommends customers to update to the latest versions. Leyla?
Fake red-on-black warnings have been plastered to hundreds of WordPress sites. These warnings state the sites have been encrypted. Researchers say the hack started out slow before growing into a more pervasive threat, demanding the equivalent of $6,000 to restore the site. However, researchers who tracked down and analyzed the fake ransomware said the phony ransomware alert was just a simple HTML page generated by a bogus plugin. And removing the infection was easy by simply removing the plugin. So who's spooking WordPress admins? A client was located in the southern U.S., but their site's access logs showed multiple requests from a foreign IP address that was interacting with the malicious plugin using the plugin editor feature of WP admin.
Shoppers beware. One of the world's largest retailers is warning customers that they may have had bank card details stolen following reports that payment card skimming devices were discovered at COSTCO warehouses. The breach was discovered after an employee conducted a routine check of their PIN pads. A total of 5 skimmers were found in 4 different Chicago area warehouses during PIN pad inspections at the end of August. These types of physical attacks only affect the users of the compromised device. Leyla?
Finally, like a scene from a horror movie, lures made to look like movie and TV streaming offers are swiping payment data. Cybercriminals have been taking advantage of the past year's massive migration of movie and TV audiences to streaming services to target would-be subscribers into giving up their payment information. These phishing attempts are disguised to look like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and other streaming service offers. Scammers are then using fake sign-up pages for these services to swipe email addresses and credit card information from victims. Stolen streaming credentials are also valuable and have been sold in underground markets. Users are advised to avoid clicking on any emails that appear to be associated with streaming services and to pay attention to obvious signs it's a scam, like misspellings in communications where they're asked for payment information. Well, that's going to do it for us. On behalf of Nick and myself, thank you so much for watching. You are now in sync with InfoSecSync. We'll see you again next week.
Many organizations are protecting their environment through perimeter defense using a combination of firewalls, IDSs, IPSs, and endpoint protection. Even though cost-effective, recent events have shown that perimeter defense, even though necessary, is not sufficient when it comes to threat detection and response. And once a threat actor penetrates these defenses, what tools do you have to detect their every move or to stop their preparations for ransomware attacks or data exfiltration? At Excelio, we believe that comprehensive network visibility across your network, inside and out, is essential to identify and respond to today's threat actors. Packet Express provides the network visibility and contextual data to detect, prioritize, and mitigate threats, no matter where they hide. No matter where they hide. Axelio, threat detection and response solutions with Packet Express, the network visibility hub.